When you start earning money, there will be one thing that has a massive influence in how much money is left in your account at the end of the month. Not Lego. Today, we're talking about income tax. Before we get started, this is a brand new channel for me, so if you could like, comment and subscribe down below, that would be massive to get the word out and help my engagement. And best of all, it's free. You might think that income tax is well understood by everybody, and so what is the point in doing a video on this? Well, if you believe that, I don't think you spent a lot of time on Twitter. What I have found is that there are two kinds of people when it comes to income tax. There are those that think you pay the same percentage on all of your income. Therefore, if you earn a higher income and get into a higher tax bracket, you pay the same percentage across everything you earn. And then there are those who are right. Income tax is one of those things that's been devolved to the Scottish Government. So for me, I end up actually paying more tax than people in England and Wales because of the way that our governments and tax systems are set up. This is a representative model of how a progressive income tax system works. Now, I'm not getting into this video about whether or not progressive income tax is a good or a bad thing. That's for you to discuss down in the comments. All I'll say is, if I went to the doctor and they told me something I had was progressive, that's generally not a good thing. So how does my model work? Big caveat, this is not representative of the government's model. It's just to make you understand how progressive income tax works. We'll talk about the actual percentages later. So the way my model works is there's 10 dots along the top. Each dot represents 10% of income. There are 15 layers top to bottom. Each layer represents £10,000 of income. So let's understand how the progressive income tax system works using my representative model. For the first £10,000 in this model, every pound you earn, you take home 100%. So that's £1 for £1 you take home. Then when you earn over £10,000, so that £1 above 10,000, that's going to get taxed at 20%. Okay, so you take home 80 pence and the model takes 20 pence. Okay? Then when you start earning above £40,000, this model will take 40% and you take home 60%. So the model gets 40 pence, you get 60 pence for every pound you earn above 40,000. Once you get above 70,000, this model takes 50% of your money. So for every pound above 70,000 that you earn, you get 50 pence and the model gets 50 pence. So far, so good, okay? Now my model gets interesting. Once you earn a pound over 100,000, the model's going to take 70% and you're going to get 30%. That means you get 30 pence in every pound that you earn and the model takes 70 pence. Don't shoot the messenger. That's because the model has decided that once you earn over £100,000, this bottom bracket should start to be taxed. Between 100,000 and 130,000, the model wants that tax back that you didn't pay on the first £10,000. So effectively, whilst they'll tell you that the model says you pay the 50 all the way up, there's a little catch here that between 100 and 130,000 pounds in this model, you're going to pay 70% tax on everything you earn. And then anything above the £130,000 and beyond, you'll then go back to paying 50% tax. Let's look at the actual percentages now for Scotland and England and Wales. There are two separate models in the UK and it's important to understand them both. We'll start with Scotland because that's where I'm based, and so obviously this is where I pay income tax on. This is as close I could get to an approximation of the Scottish system without having a massive amount of Lego that I couldn't find in the house and couldn't make work for a simple model. The Scottish income tax model has asterisk 7 income tax bands. The reason I say asterisk is because it doesn't tell you about that £100,000 to £125,000 bracket where you lose your personal allowance. So in Scotland, your personal allowance is £12,570. Anything up to that, you pay 0 income tax. Between £12,571 to £14,876, you'll pay a starter rate of 19% income tax. Then you move into a basic rate. So the basic rate is between £14,877 to £26,561, and that is taxed at 20% of your income. We then move on to the intermediate rate, which is £26,562 to £43,662, and that's taxed at 21%. The higher rate income tax bracket starts at £43,663 and goes up to £75,000, and that's taxed at 42%. Further, we move to the advanced rate. Between £75,001 to £125,140, you pay 45%. Asterisk, asterisk, asterisk. And then the top rate is anything over £125,140, and in Scotland you'll pay 48% income tax on that. You can see how my model is somewhat representative of the Scottish model. Let's get into that caveat. Gov.uk says you do not get a personal allowance if you earn over £125,140. What does that mean? Your personal allowance goes down by £1 for every £2 of your adjusted net income, next video, that is above £100,000. This means your allowance is zero if your income is £125,140 or above. So what does that mean in layman's terms? So in Scotland, if you're earning £100,001, you're going to be in the advanced rate of income tax, okay? That's 45%. For every pound you earn above that 100,000, they're going to tax you effectively on 50% of that. So the effective tax rate in Scotland that you'll pay between 100,000 and 125,140 is 67.5% tax. It's called the 67.5% tax trap for a reason. They don't like people talking about that, and that's why it's a little one-liner hidden at the top of the page and not included in the table where they just tell you that your tax brackets are going up to a maximum of 48%. The maximum tax you will pay in Scotland is 67.5% tax if you are lucky enough to earn over £100,000. So hopefully I have some English viewers as well. And let's talk about your income tax bands. These are way simpler and way easier to understand. Caveat, there's a autumn budget coming at some point soon, and that might change. In England, you have the same personal allowance as we have in Scotland, up to £12,570. So the first £12,570 that you earn is taxed at 0%. It's all yours, take home, congratulations. Then you go into basic rate. So between £12,571 and £50,270, you'll get taxed at 20% in England and Wales. Then you move into the higher rate. So between £50,271 to £125,140, you pay a 40% income tax rate. There is one final income tax rate in England, and that's the additional rate, and that's anything over £125,140, and that will be taxed at 45%. Let's do a side-by-side comparison between the Scottish system and the English system. We know that England has a simple 4-stage system and Scotland has a 7-stage system. I've chosen to do an example of somebody who earns £60,000 because that hits all 4 tax brackets in England and majority of the tax brackets in Scotland. It's also representative of a train driver, for example. At the face of it, not looking at any other deductions or salary sacrifice, coming in the next video, somebody in Scotland earning £60,000 a year can look forward to taking home £3,630.09 per month. The same person in England can look forward to taking home £3,779.79 per month. Let's break this down slightly further. So in Scotland, you would have paid, let's do monthly, £36.51 at 19%, £194.75 at 20%, £299.27 at 21%, and £571.83 at 42%, for a total of £1,102.36 a month. In England, you would pay £628.33 at 20%, and £324.33 at 40%, totaling £952.66. Okay, so now we understand how a progressive income tax system works. We understand that it always pays more to earn more, even if the model takes more as a percentage. We're always going to take home more if we earn more. So we should not turn down pay rises at work. That's very important. I'm sure at this point you're thinking, how can I legally reduce some of that tax burden as my income goes up? I'm going to be discussing some options in my next video all about adjusted net income. So subscribe to get notified when that comes out. Comment below to let me know what you think of the progressive tax system and what you'd like to see more of on this channel. If you're looking for something else to watch, why not check out the first video on this channel, which is all about how to run a monthly budget for your household.